Welcome back to the Circus Ranger series of Wasteland 2. The previous episode had the Desert Rangers caught in a tight spot, picking between saving one of the two outposts meant to be under their protection. They were initially supposed to set up repeater units to expand their range via radio and allow the Rangers to expand their influence. But this became far more complicated after the loss of Ag Center. Their plan B was to reach the Montes radio tower instead, which was just as capable of amplifying the range, but was also far more dangerous to reach. The first course of action for the Rangers was to retrieve rad suits powerful enough to get through the radiation to reach the canyon, and once they get past that, they will be near Demonta. So it went without saying that these clowns had their work cut out for them. The Rangers figured since they went through so much trouble just to get the rad suits that they weren't only going to use it to get to the canyon. They took a minor detour and made contact with the rail nomads.
My friend Ralphie's in the lake. He can't swim back to shore. Please hurry. The lake is this way.
Even when just entering their territory, the Rangers' help was needed. The first thing they do upon entering was save a boy from drowning in the lake by smashing a totem into it for him and having him claw his way out of the water. A course of action, while questionable, was mildly entertaining. Skippy insisted on knocking over the other totem for future safety, of course. He introduced himself as Ralphie and explained that he and the girl were in two separate tribes, who were in a great bloody feud over a recent accident that led to them opposing each other. They spoke with the Topekans first as to get on their good side as they saved Ralphie's life. They spoke with Ralphie's family, and Ralphie was offered as a ranger by his mother. The squad had a strict clown-only policy for the past couple of weeks, but seeing as this potential ranger was still young and would be accepted into their tribe as family, with enough training, maybe he too could become worthy of a red afro. I mean, look at those skills. They're already a joke, except the course has a repair. Despite the leader's insistence that they did not need interference from outsiders, it was within the Rangers' interest to not only wipe out the scavengers harassing both sides, but to end the civil war so that they can return the train yard to its former glory, bringing back the trains and ensuring better trade, and maybe even transportation all across Arizona. The scavengers had numbers, but lacked anything other than improvised and looted gear, and were easy to dispatch. This is despite what to this day Jex claims was a weapons malfunction. Nobody bought it, and he simply thinks his lucky stars that Skippy was far more focused on keeping the kid from being killed rather than wringing the sniper's neck. As they tore through the rail thief crew, the group decided Ralphie was worth keeping. It's been years since they've seen Skippy smile, and all that changed when Ralphie punched a man's torso off. After doing so and getting on good terms with the Topekans, they got the leaders of both the tribes to finally negotiate and to put aside their conflict to allow the rail nomads to rise again. They saved many lives entering the railroad and stopped the bloodshed of countless. And in the end, they even went as far as arresting the most infamous criminal in the Waste, Adian the Chisel Bomasatabo.
I'm the baddest man in the Waste.
But the Rangers had a better idea than simply letting such a talented killer be locked away in a cell. He was put on parole by the Rangers to assist them in their mission. When everything was settled with the nomads, the Rangers and their new recruits made their way through Titan Canyon, a canyon under the control of the Mad Monks. The Rangers found themselves just outside the canyon, helping a small group of people herding cattle, attempting to help their surgeon who had some severe injuries. Rangers knew people like these were in for a world of hurt if they don't have a second emergency surgeon on hand, but this is what they signed up for, to make sure folk don't have to worry about things like that in the first place. The experience for the Rangers soured as they learned about the Mad Monks. Neutral to all outsiders, so long as they paid the tolls that they decide to give them based on what they can provide. They get assured safe passage with a monk. All those with a monk are given safe passage, this assuming they play nice and don't attack people who also have monks, or their new pal's gonna turn on them mighty fast. It didn't take long for Rangers to poke several holes in the system. The monk's suicide bomb, meaning when they protect their client, not only are they likely to be at the risk of getting harmed or killed, and if they are not, they're now out in the open, without a monk, after an explosion that most will surely hear. Many of those who pay the toll are raiders who turn a profit by mugging those who hadn't even gotten a chance to get a monk in the first place. Nothing is stopping bandits from waiting outside and attacking people on their way to the canyon, as the monks don't protect those who haven't paid the toll. Despite the many objections to a clearly failing system that more benefited criminals than anyone else due to its execution, the monks aren't stupid, and they know they can't work off of goodwill alone. Instead, hold a gigantic "because I said so" missile to enforce the fabled Law of Titan. The Rangers struggled to get through the canyon, doing their best to stop crimes that they couldn't resolve in force, including sneaking past dangerous men by breaking down walls that not even Skippy could bust down. One of Wiggles' favorite statements to hear. It didn't take long for the Rangers to bump into the Diamondback militia. Watching from a safe distance how the monks operate, their immediate reaction was to overthrow such an unstable and dysfunctional system that normal folk were forced to go through if they needed to get past the mountains. The Diamondback militia offered them a way in, and all they had to do was sneak into the stronghold, disarm the missile, and the militia would be able to overthrow the monks. And finally some law would be enforced in this Titan-forsaken canyon. The only problem was, it was surprisingly difficult to infiltrate in those floppy shoes. Despite the operation going less smoothly than desired, no Rangers were lost in the operation, and the militia was capable of staging the coup. The Rangers were sent off on one more mission, since it turned out that the missiles the monks had was fake. One hell of a bluff to maintain for so long, honestly impressed some of them. But one that the militia don't want to use as the foundation of their rule. They prefer something far more concrete, like an actual missile found in a silo not far from the canyon. They were reluctant to give men they just met this missile, but they figured it would be better off than potentially having it in the hands of any surviving vengeful monks. So the Rangers went north to send the missile back to the canyon, praying that this time the one in charge is going to have a bit more sense. Back on track, the Rangers made their way to Damonta. The famous robot graveyard was a graveyard, alright, but there was an alarmingly small amount of robots filling the graves. It appeared that the robots had came to life and were butchering anybody that they could make contact with. The Rangers scouted around, killing as many as possible, attempting to save as many as they can. They managed to find a handful of people in town, including a young girl who was being operated on by some sort of synth. The robot tried to hold her hostage, but failed to factor in that Ranger Jex's cunning attempts to juggle were a distraction while they freed the girl. They returned her to her family so that she can continue to enjoy what time she has left, and freed another man that the robot was experimenting on named Lixcanium, who vowed to maim robots before they could hurt anyone else. They wished him luck in his endeavors, but left him to his own devices. He freaked out everybody, and that said a lot considering the crew. They left Damonta as heroes to the few people that remained, even giving them a much friendlier robot that Wiggles managed to bring back online. It took a shining to the little guy. The Rangers were informed to return to base as they made connection to California and intended to extend their justice west. This had to be postponed, however. On the way there, they got reports of Red Scorpion raids. Something or someone had poked the beehive, and they were assaulting Rangers. They can't move out with a problem like this prominent right at their door. They found Farmer Joe just outside the perimeter of the Red Scorpion base. He confessed that he made their dog sick and blamed the Rangers in order to encourage the Rangers to wipe them out. When the Rangers told him that they tried and they couldn't get past the turret, Joe did his best to make things right and handed over the cure. They negotiated a ceasefire to enter the base and cure their dogs.
I want you to see the man who did this to you. And then, I'll kill them.
They even made contact with the Red Scorpion leader, who revealed to be the child at High Pool who was shot by a desert ranger along with his dog for being armed with a BB gun. The clown sat through the story, and when he stated that he showed the Rangers how to treat people with respect, Soot saw her opportunity and began a debate with the Red Scorpion militia's leader. Arguing over the slavery and abuse they bore witness to before, they struck a deal with the Scorpions that they try to play friendly with the Rangers, after the dogs were cured, of course, and crack down on how they treat citizens under their protection. Job wasn't happy about the peaceful resolution with a bunch of criminals and called the Rangers cowards. But the Rangers didn't see much weight in what a man who poisoned dogs and dodged responsibility had to say about courage, especially in this scenario after he insisted they fix his mistake, plenty of gaps in that boy's memory, but fortunately the Rangers knew that this would be an often thankless job. On returning to the Citadel, the Rangers were given a whole new list of missions. Rendezvous with Team Foxtrot at their base of operations in Los Angeles, win the hearts of the people there, investigate the children of the Citadel and God's militia, both most likely being hostile forces, and search for any survivors in the scouting party of Team Foxtrot after the chopper was downed. They took a long trip to LA and were told they'd have enough fuel if the weather was just right. And of course it wasn't. The Rangers were picking up distress calls from the LA base the moment that they were in range. They would have no time to help if they landed safely and continued on foot, so they went forward with what fumes they had left, until they began to drop.